Along Florence, Rome, Venice, and Milan, Naples is one of the main Italian tourist destinations. A city full of life like nothing I've ever seen. We check in at the hotel and start exploring this extraordinary city. It immediately bewilders you with a surreal atmosphere. A city from another time, with narrow streets full of life. Naples is by far one of the world's cities with the highest density of cultural, artistic, and monumental resources, defined by the BBC as the Italian city with too much history to manage. Its historic center, the result of history, art, and urban expression, over a span of about 3,000 years, has exerted a profound influence on Europe since ancient times. Corso Umberto I, also known as Rettifilo, is one of the most important arteries that connects the city center with the railway station in Piazza Garibaldi. It is here that tourists pass first when they arrive in Naples, a must go to the port and to the main attractions. The street was built in the 19th century and starts from Piazza Giovanni Bovio, formerly known as Piazza della Borsa, and extends to the central station. Not only are there numerous shops, ideal for low-cost shopping, but there are also numerous hotels, pizzerias, and the seat of the humanities, the faculty of Federico II University. On the right half of the street, we find the first recommendation of this tour, l'antica pizzeria da Michele. This is one of the highest recommended pizzerias in the world. Known celebrities who dropped by are Julia Roberts and Prince Charles, the eldest son of Queen Elizabeth II. It's a good idea to have a reservation due to the large flow of people always in line to enter. Now, I can't emphasize enough that the pizza, the real pizza, is born at Naples. The Napolitan pizza with a soft and thin dough, high edges, is the version of the round pizza prepared in the city of Naples. Since February 5th, 2010, it is officially recognized as a guaranteed traditional specialty of the European Union. In 2017, the art of Napolitan pizzaiolo, of which Napolitan pizza is a tangible product, was declared by UNESCO as an intangible heritage of the humanity. From here, we make our way to Piazza Nicola Amore. We head north for a little bit to intercept the most famous street in Naples. SpaccaNapoli is a straight and narrow main street that traverses the old historic center of the city of Naples. This commonly known name literally means Naples splitter. The name derives from the fact that it is very long, and from above it seems to divide this part of the city. Along this route, one can admire some of the city's architectural excellences, such as Basilica of Santa Chiara, the Monte della Pietà, and the complex of Santa Maria della Ragione. Over the centuries, Naples has seen the rise of hundreds of churches and monasteries, so much so that it earned the nickname of the City of 500 Domes. The Veiled Christ is a marble sculpture by Giuseppe San Martino, preserved in the Sansevero Chappel in Naples. Created in 1753, it is considered one of the greatest sculptural masterpieces in the world, and had Antonio Canova among its admirers, who, having unsuccessfully tried to buy the work, declared that he'd be willing to give 10 years of his own life to be the author of such masterpiece. Each alley and neighborhood in Naples tells a piece of the city's history. Some streets are more symbolic than others. They're loved by its citizens and known by tourists who walk to understand the changes, habits, and soul of the local population. We can also meet the famous singers from the balconies, which are exhibited with typical Napoleon songs. It is accustomed to make an offer in the basket that hangs on a small rope. One of the symbolic streets of Naples is San Gregorio Armeno, the so-called Street of the Cribs. Condensed workshops of wood artisans who create the renowned statuettes, both canonical and original, and not only at Christmas but throughout the year. These shops open early morning and close late in the evening, and having a stroll in this area is always a pleasant discovery. The Pignasecca market extends from Piazza Montesanto near the homonymous Underground Line 2 stop and all along the entire Via Pignasecca. It is one of the most characteristic and expressive places in Naples, as well as home to one of the historic local markets of the city, literally stormed every day by foreigners and locals. The stalls sell mainly low-cost food, but it's not uncommon to find gift and clothing retailers. Don't forget to take a break and enjoy the street food in the area. From here, you can take the Montesanto funicular to the top of the Margan district, or you can take the panoramic stairs or pedamentina for an extra workout. Either way, right at the top, you'll reach Castel Sant'Elmo, a star-shaped fortress and former prison of the 14th century. Naples rises almost at the center of the homonymous gulf, dominated by the volcano Vesuvius, and bordered to the east by the Sorrento Peninsula with Punta Campanella. In 1997, the volcanic apparatus Somma Vesuvius was elected as one of the world's biosphere reserves. From here, we are descending on the other side of the hill towards Corso Vittorio Emanuele. This is one of the most panoramic streets of Naples, where one can have a breathtaking view of the Gulf of the Neapolitan city and of numerous restaurants and hotels that arise from below. This is Lungomare di Napoli. With its wide sidewalks, it is crowded with locals and tourists, especially on weekends, when it is invaded by hundreds of people walking or jogging. Halfway there, we have the so-called Diaz roundabout, often home to concerts and open-air events. Naples has seen the succession of several foreign dynasties, which is why it had to equip itself with mighty fortifications. Castel dell'Ovo, directly on the sea, built on the remains of the villa of Licinio Lucullo, with a purely defensive function of the city coasts, given its almost central location. The castle gives us spectacular views of the Vesuvius, the sleeping giant. It is one of the two active volcanoes in continental Europe and one of the most studied and dangerous in the world due to overcrowding of the surrounding areas and because of its imminent explosive traits. The eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD is the main eruptive event that occurred in historical times. The eruption, which profoundly changed the morphology of the volcano and the surrounding territories, caused the destruction of the cities of Herculaneum, Pompeii, Oplontis, and Stabia, whose ruins, buried under layers of pumice, were brought to light at the beginning of the 18th century. And so we reach the underground Naples. The first artifacts of underground excavations date back to about 5,000 years ago, almost at the end of the prehistoric era. The eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD closed a large part of the entrances to these tunnels, which were discovered by chance at the beginning of the 20th century. We are now heading towards Piazza del Plebiscito, located in the historic center between the seafront and Via Toledo. With its 25,000 square meters, the square is one of the largest in the city and in Italy, and it is mostly used for large gatherings. Piazza di Dante. In the center of the square stands a large statue of Dante Alighieri, the work of the sculptors Tito Angelini and Tommaso Solari Jr., inaugurated on July 13, 1871. The uprising of the Spanish quarters began around the 16th century. It was meant to accommodate Spanish military garrisons to suppress any revolts of the Neapolitan population. In 1995, the historic center of Naples was recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site for its monuments, which testify to the succession of the Mediterranean and Europe cultures.